Lesson 42, repeating decimals. Okay, when you're dividing, or with division, that's how we'll start. So with division, you get an answer that divides evenly or you get a decimal that ends, or you get a decimal that repeats. Today we're talking about decimals that repeat. So if we are dividing and we get a decimal point and then twos that just continue on and on, in fact, that's equal to 2/9, then we can write it as a decimal number with a vinculum over it. So this little bar above the 2 is called a vinculum. And the 2 itself is called the repetend, because that is what is repeating. Now some of you may have learned that you could do like 0.22 with the vinculum. You only write the repetend once. So since 2 is what is repeating, you write the 2 just one time and then put the vinculum over it. So this little bar right here is called the vinculum. Have you guys heard that word before? Vinculum? No? Okay. Can you say it then? Vinculum. Vinculum. Okay. Now we're going to do another repeating decimal. Decimal point 1437, 1437, ... So you look at the numbers that are repeating. They're the 1, 4, 3, and 7. You would write those as your repetend and then put a vinculum over all 4. And here's an example where you'll have a decimal number and then here we have some repeating 6s at the end. So the repetend is what is repeating, which in this case is a 6. So when we write our decimal number, we only put the repetend over the 6 because that's the only number that's repeating in this repeating decimal. So if we are given a fraction, so to change a fraction to a decimal, all you have to do is divide the numerator by the denominator. So if we have a fraction 1/3 and we want to write that as a decimal, we can just divide the numerator by the denominator. Does anybody here know what this little bar right here means when we're looking at a fraction? Savannah?
Well, if you're trying to divide the two numbers, that line means divide.
That line means divide. You are correct. So sometimes if you can't remember how to get a decimal number, just remember this little bar means divide, and that's what you need to do. So 1 divided by 3, so 3 goes by the box. And what you do on 1, there's not a decimal point, so you just put 1 at the end, add some zeros, bring up your decimal. 3 doesn't go into 1, it goes into 10 3 times. Multiply, subtract, bring down, divide, multiply, subtract, bring down. Uh-oh. Can you guys see that will continue on for a long time? So 1/3 is the same thing as 0.3 with the vinculum over it. So they are both the same number. Okay, this is an example, and my question is do we need a vinculum on this decimal number? Do you see it repeating anywhere? No. So we would not put one on. No vinculum. Yeah, it's a big decimal number. We can compare decimal numbers, and if they're repeating, we have to remember that the 3 here will keep repeating. So if you rewrite it and put a 0 on the end of this one, and then you rewrite this one, because it's the 3 repeating and you put a 3 after it, because the 3's will keep going, then you will put a less than sign in between them. So 3/10 is less than 0.3 with the vinculum, or 1/3. Okay, that's the end of the lesson.